this back and forth is why we are meeting so late in the day. That's the story. If this bond is approved, I will do my best to get it passed. I believe that doing this now makes it impossible for the Woodlands Parkway Extension to be built with taxpayer money. If the developers want to spend their own money to build it themselves and the taxpayers are not involved, that's their business, not mine. At some point, I expect it may be built. Despite all the negative feedback we have received for attempting this, let me conclude with a paraphrased passage of the man in the arena. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who never know victory or defeat. Gentlemen, there is your challenge. Put this bond on the November ballot. Thank you. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you, Judge, Commissioners. Thank you, Commissioner. I appreciate that. I'm Nelda Luz Blair, and I was the chairman of the Montgomery County 2015 Road Bond Committee and the Keep Montgomery County Moving Political Action Committee. The first thing I'd like to say is because we've also received several contacts, many contacts, since the words come out that there will be a November bond issue possibly. I'd like to say that this Montgomery County 2015 Road Bond Committee was specifically for a road bond issue on the May ballot, and the May ballot only. The Keep Montgomery County Moving PAC was a specific purpose PAC specifically for the May election, and the May election only. By law, it could support no other issue. It is now dissolved. And so it won't have anything to do with a November bond issue if you decide to place one on the ballot. I'd also like to say that having been involved in many, many organizations and efforts and resided all over this county for several decades, that this is my home. And the county as a whole is very, very important to me. And I know that burning bridges and keeping bridges and making bridges and maintaining them and amicable resolution is by far the desired way to get things done. And so I want to thank you for going down that road and pledge to you that this, if you put a bond issue on in November, it will have my full personal support. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Elder. Next we have Chair Spiel.
Good afternoon, Judge and Commissioners. My name is Cherie Spiel. I'm a resident of Oak Ridge, North Texas. I've lived in Montgomery County for 25 years. I come to you on behalf of the good citizens, many good citizens, of the city of Oak Ridge North. Among them, the Oak Ridge Reformed Baptist Church, the Oak Ridge Christian Academy, the parents who make financial sacrifice to send their children to Oak Ridge Christian Academy, and the 14 homes that lie on Robinson Road. Many of those homes are occupied and owned by elderly. If this bond goes through with Robinson Road widening realignment, which many of us believe is only for the sake of the shopping center, many of these good people will be greatly adversely affected. So I ask that you take that into consideration. Thank you.
Ms. Beal, should the court vote in favor of putting a bond on the ballot this November, Robinson Road's not on there.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Very well.
Kristen Chris.
Hello, I'm Kristen Chris of Magnolia, Texas with the Charlie Riley campaign. Part of the job of being a good leader is working together to find middle ground when facing opposition so that a common ground can be obtained. I want to thank you all today for coming together and finding that common ground. For too long, the Republican Party in this county has let the things that we disagree on divide us in a very unpleasant way. Today, that stops. Today, we are united on common ground for the betterment of Montgomery County. I appreciate all the leaders working together today. Thank you.
Thank you, Dale Fessenden.
Commissioners and Judge, appreciate the opportunity to speak to you. Dale Fessenden, Precinct 4. And again, I want to echo a lot of the comments that have already been made, or I want to agree with them. And I am so pleased to be able to stand here today and say, you know, this is the day we look forward to. There is one challenge that I would like to give to you, though. In the very first time I addressed this court, I mentioned partnerships, and that is part of this package. I also know that partnerships require both sides, which includes the state of Texas and so forth. If the state of Texas does not find funds to fulfill the partnerships that are planned in this bond, I would ask that the court maintain the integrity of the bond and just not press forward with those projects, rather than making the citizens of Montgomery County foot the entire bill. If the partnership falls through, let's schedule it for a future date and just let those funds go by. Thank you very much.
Without those dollars, we could do that anyway. Brian Crumby.
My name is Brian Crumby. I live in Magnolia, Texas. So there's a lot of details on this that I don't have access to yet. I opposed the bond because of the maintenance, because of the high debt, and because of not talking and interacting with the people. So I do not see that the interaction with the people has been fixed. It's still, that issue, from my perspective, is still an unresolved problem. I have had no assurances. The other issues of paying for maintenance, paying for developers, all those sorts of things. So I would encourage you not to make the same mistake once.
Deborah Rose Miller.
Commissioners, Judge Deborah Rose Miller from Magnolia. We supported the bond back in May. We thought it was the right thing for the county to do. And I feel today, with taking off the Woodlands Parkway Extension and Robinson Road, and we can press forward like everybody has said today, it's still the best thing and all for the county and for this community. You all know that on the November ballot already has been called the Conroe ISD bond and the Magnolia ISD bond. And thank goodness we've pressed forward with those bonds for the sake of our schools. Because if this road goes through, the only thing that's keeping our numbers somewhat palatable right now from the demographer's report is the lack of mobility. Once we get that fixed, those numbers are probably going to quadruple and change dramatically. So on behalf of the school districts, we thank you, because this is something we need together. On a personal note, working obviously with you, Judge Doyal, and Mr. Riley for 15 plus years in the trenches, I just want you all to personally know that Magnolia elected you to, because you're our leaders and you are who we stand behind, and we will continue to stand behind because we know you're looking out for our best interests. Thank you all.
John Meehan?
Yes, I didn't intend to speak.
Okay.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, John. Thanks for being here. Julie Turner.
Good afternoon. My name is Julie Turner, president of the Texas Patriots PAC, and Mr. Riley is my commissioner. I'm here today on behalf of the Texas Patriots PAC to encourage you to approve the order calling the bond election, and also to approve the resolutions governing future road maintenance, funding, and future bond projects. I urge your support for two reasons. First, the resolutions channel more money into the fund used to maintain roads, and it does that without unduly tying commissioners' hands. Second, this bond with these resolutions is extremely likely to pass. This last Friday, something exceptional happened. An agreement was reached to support a road bond between representatives of the PAC and two members of this court. It did not dictate what Commissioners Court must do. That's what you're here to do today. And it did not dictate projects. That's your choice. That conversation was groundbreaking, extremely constructive, and most welcome. The top three funding priorities of our Commissioners Court are the roads, the jail, and the courts. It doesn't make a lot of sense to voters to say that there isn't enough money for the road and bridge fund if our taxes are going to fund lower priorities. In the resolution under discussion here, the road and bridge fund will grow as the county grows at the higher level of priority that the county gave it in the budget this year. I'd like to thank Mr. Riley for offering the language that made that substantially better in the agreement. As you know, the Texas Patriots PAC opposed the last bond. In fact, we walked over 10,000 flyers to homes of people that we thought would be interested in that election. And the flyers said, demand a better bond. We are prepared to support a better bond, and that is what you're about to vote on. If you vote to approve this bond and these resolutions, we are prepared to work as hard to pass this one as we did to oppose the last one. The most important part of this agreement is that it places Montgomery County on a glide path to pay for maintenance of our roads without relying on bonds. I heartily congratulate Judge Doyal and Commissioner Riley and the concerned citizens who constructively work together to find a path to address our major mobility needs right now. And now it's up to you all. Should you vote to call the bond election and approve the resolutions, we stand prepared to work with this court to pass the bond in November. Thank you.
Mr. John Ballot.
Good afternoon, Commissioners and Judge. Most of what I was going to say has already been said, so I'm not going to be repetitive. I just think it's important to focus on the resolutions. I think they're very, very important, as well as the bond. I also wanted to really say that I have a lot of appreciation for Judge Doyal and Commissioner Riley showing the gravitas, it's a word I always wanted to use, I think I can use it, to put aside the past differences that we've had and to work constructively with us in hammering out a deal that we could agree upon. I think that that was very admirable, and I hope this is a sign of a lot more cooperation together, working together in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. That's the end of the list of people that I have who signed up to speak. Is there anyone else that would like to address the court? Go.
Judge Doyal, Commissioners, I'm excited to be here today because I'm excited to hear that we have a bond that's going to be called and we have seemingly unanimous or nearly unanimous support for it. I want to commend and congratulate the Commissioners and all of those who participated in the process that got us to where we are today, because it is the essence of what politics is about. Meeting with people who disagree on details, but agree on fundamentals, and crafting an agreement that's in the best interest of the public. The best interest of Montgomery County can only be served by solving some of the road problems we have. I urge you to place the bond on the November ballot, and I thank you for your efforts.
Thank you.
Sir, can we get your name, please?
Joe Michaels.
Michaels? Okay, thank you.
And Joe served on the previous bond committee as well. Ms. Benbow.
Hello, everybody. Penny Bimbo, Rayford Road Corridor, Spring Creek Homeowners Coalition. I just want to echo all the sentiments here and congratulate the court for putting this in front of the people. I want to thank you all. And also, Woody Bunch asked me to convey his support for this initiative, and we'll all work together to get it passed. Thank you very much.
Anyone else? Constable.
You won't be as fiery this time as last time.
It was stated that I spoke passionately last time, and I accumulated a new nickname called Constable. I'm just as passionate about the bond issue today as I was the bond issue then. This bond issue is for Montgomery County. It's not for East County. It's not for West County. And it's not for me and you. It's for Montgomery County. I'm just as passionate. I've been here nearly 50 years. 50 years in this community, and we need to, and we're seeing it through leadership of Charlie Riley. I know what Charlie Riley has gone through this week, the amount of time he spent on his knees this week. Charlie, and I thank you for that. That's what we all need to do, and I'm going to ask everyone that was involved in the last election to join me in one prayer, and that is that God's will be done in this election. I think that's what we prayed for last time. I think that's what we prayed for last time. Let's pray for it again, and let's make it happen. just as passionate as I was then. Thank you, gentlemen. Let's vote for it.
Councilman, thank you. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Judge, Commissioners. My name is Robert Holden from Willis. And I notice in schools and in roads that we cannot afford what we need to procure what we need, but we can afford to spend double that for the same amount. I'm assuming this bond is a result of not having the funds we need to procure. Let's say it was $260 million worth of roads, but we can afford to pay $520 million for that $260 million of roads. It's like my wife's sister was buying a toy for one of her nieces, and she charged it, and I said, it's only $10. She said, I can't afford it, but you can afford 20. So I understand that you have something in the works now that will, in the future, allow us to not overpay for the items that we buy and need as part of this bond issue, and that would be good. And if it's not there, or even if it is, if you could strengthen it so that the money that we do provide would procure more for us than going the route of bonds to meet our needs. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to address the board? Yes, ma'am.
I didn't come prepared to speak today, but I just want to let y'all know that you have my support because the positions that y'all hold are thankless jobs. And if nobody has been to East County and seen the traffic and the growth over there, there's a reason for this bond. You can't have progression and growth without the infrastructure. And so, gentlemen, all four of you, and Judge, I support you 100%. Thank you.
Jody.
Can I get your name now? Jody Winterbar, I'm sorry. Jody Winterbar?
Well,
I'm Ken Wong from Precinct 2. I do want to thank all of y'all for allowing a vote this November. I think it's very important for our county. I think the project list is excellent when I've heard of it so far. I also want to encourage you to properly fund maintenance out of our normal budget. We need to stop acting like Congress and burdening our children with our debt. Our operations and maintenance should come out of our yearly budget. Whatever we need to do that, we need to pay it out of our yearly budget. We should never, ever again take out bonds to pay for maintenance. Thank you.
anyone else who'd like to address the board? Seeing none, Commissioners, I would entertain a motion to call for a bond election this November.
I move.
Second. Motion second. Any questions or comments?
I do, Judge.
Okay.
Thanks to everybody for coming today. We do have a bond issue to take to the voters, and this is a good thing. I'm disappointed in how it was done. A small group of people from a special interest group serving as the bond committee dictated to some of the court, not me, how much each precinct would receive and what work was to be done. I was informed last Thursday that the bond issue was designed and we would have this special session to approve taking it to the voters. Still with no input from anybody in the county except for this one group. Seems to be a dangerous path that the court has taken. Representation for the entire county obviously has been placed in the hands of a small group, and that defies equal representation. We are elected as officials to represent Montgomery County, not a small segment of the population. I will vote to take the bond issue to the voters, because obviously pretty much a majority that it's going to happen. We can use it to do some things in Precinct 1. I'm just very disappointed in how we got here. Thank you, Judge.
Judge, if y'all would bear with me, I wrote some things down because I don't want to miss anything, so I usually don't read a statement, but I'm going to today if y'all will allow me to do that. And I think the number one, the most foremost thing is that folks that know me know that I do the right thing and I do what's best for Precinct 2 in Montgomery County. And I never let go of the belief that we needed to get started on the road projects. We're so far behind, it's doubtful we'll catch up. I did send Mark to find out whether what we could agree on. Could we approach this from what is best from Montgomery County standpoint? And what we found was there was a lot in common. We agreed that Montgomery County is growing. We agreed that Montgomery County is behind in its road programs. We agreed that Montgomery County needs to use its resources wisely and plan for future growth. We agreed that Montgomery County needs to catch up on maintenance and that needs to be part of a current budget. We agreed that Montgomery County Commissioners know what the road needs of their precinct are and that they were the best qualified to make those judgments. I have prioritized Keenan Cutoff Road over the Woodlands Parkway because of the 2 new schools that Montgomery ISD will build, and that road cannot wait for those 2 schools. We agreed that it would be best to write all this down and communicate this all to the public. Having had 2 races focused on the differences, we decided to go forward based on these points that we could agree on. In the best interest of Montgomery County, I think it is historic. I think there's a lot of things here that may be a model for others. We agreed to stay focused on points of merit and not focused on personalities. Educate the voters as to why we think that is important and let them decide. We were not dictated to. We agreed to what was important. Politics is the practice and theory of influencing other people. We have spent the last few years trying to influence everyone else and not each other. As soon as we started talking to each other, we found that there was a lot of common ground. Starting with, we need to get a road bond passed. Thank you.
You know, Judge, Commissioners, Coach John Wooden had a quote that he said that failure isn't fatal, but failure to change might be. And sitting here on this court now for 2.5 years, this may be one of the proudest moments I think I have experienced in this entire court because of the togetherness that we were able to achieve in the face of defeat. And like so many had said before, I want to thank both you and Charlie Riley, Commissioner Riley, for stepping out of your comfort zone, and the PAC for being willing to sit down and have conversations with these 2 men, and for Montgomery County Tea Party to help push this along and bring this together. A lot of work was done behind the scenes by a lot of different people. I didn't even know this was going on until Commissioner Metter last Thursday or Friday as well. It was kind of new to me, and my support for a November bond was unquestionable. I've been stating it over and over and over again. So for those of you who have a conspiracy theory that there was some secret meetings happening, you know, behind closed doors where all of us were meeting, I had no part in it. I had no knowledge of it going on. But man, I wholeheartedly support it, and I hope this is a new era for this court and for Montgomery County, for us to agree to disagree when we need to, and for us to put our heads together and work to solve the problems. That's what the people elected us to do. And Commissioner Metter, I respect what you had to say, and I certainly appreciate it, and I just hope that we can all work together going forward and be the men that the county elected to serve these great people. Thank you.
Charlie, you said a mouthful, so I'm going to kind of echo what Charlie said. And when I received the phone call that the Tea Party and Texas Patriots PAC, let me be clear, and the judge and Charlie were sitting down and talking about revising the road bond, got word of it, I had no idea, and I thought I was dreaming when I answered the phone, but a good day has come, and you know, I think we're all at the table. and it's time to make a good decision for Montgomery County moving forward. And each commissioner has his priorities and what's right for the people, and I don't think anybody has any question whether any of the commissioners has any kind of ulterior motive what they'll do or what's right for their constituents. And I want to thank y'all for coming together and making this happen.
I know probably a lot of you are sitting out there wondering, how did we get here? And I can assure you that last Thursday when I sat across the table from John Bauman, I don't know if he was more surprised or I was when we were doing that really talking. But it became clear to me as I started driving around the county, and I see the congestion that you guys see. It doesn't take a genius to figure out that we're drowning in growth right now. We've got to do something. I started getting phone calls from supporters of mine and constituents, family members that said, you guys need to get something done. And it would have been the easiest thing for this court to do would have been just let this thing drop until next November. It was kind of there on that path. And it would have been real simple not to have made that phone call and reached out. But I applaud Commissioner Riley because he came up with the idea. And he said, look, let's just ask the question. And that question was asked outside of a political forum, outside of a bond referendum rally, one way or the other, and you get down to the actual facts. There's a lot of common ground. The fact that the road list that was put out back last year is the list that we'll use for this bond issue. That was a good list of projects that a number of engineers, a number of citizens, a number of committee members looked at. And commissioners will have a choice. If you want to change some of those, you can even change some of those. With the exception of Woodlands Parkway, every project's the same, or whatever you want to do with Robinson Road. Now, and also in talking with representatives of the PAC, they recognize that at some point Woodlands Parkway needs to exist. It's going to have to happen. Commissioner Riley can find a way to get that done outside of this bond issue and work our team. Let's get the developers involved and let's get that. But it's a matter of trying to find common ground and making these projects move forward. We're looking at ways right now, even in this budget, to add additional revenue to the commissioner's budget so that they can do maintenance long term. What we did was increased our road and bridge tax rate to 10.19% of our total overall tax rate, and I'd like to see us continue to do that, so that if our ad valorem base increases, commissioner's revenue increases, so that maintenance can be accomplished out of our maintenance budget. Now, will we be able to accomplish everything? No. But if we look at least 80% of the projects in this bond issue being addressing specifically mobility issues, additional lane miles, shoulders, turn lanes, bridges, issues like that, then I think that's a good start. And we're going to have to do some major rehabilitation work because we're going to have to finance some of it. But I suggest to you, commissioners, that we don't spread the term of that funding any longer than the actual life of that project would last. Those are just good, sound financial principles that we need to continue to follow. I don't think that it's a matter of who buckled to who or who gave up to who. I would suspect if you asked anybody from the Patriots PAC, they would tell you that they did not get everything they wanted. I'll tell you we didn't get everything we wanted. But what we did get is an opportunity to put a bond issue before the voters of Montgomery County. And the one thing, not the one thing, but one thing that I hear about Washington over and over and over is that Washington is broken. Because people stand there and they argue with each other at the expense of the citizens of this country. They argue with one another over issues, and they plant their flag so deep that they can't make a change. I want to tell you today that we listened, we found common ground, and the winners in this issue, I believe, are the people of Montgomery County. And mobility issues will be addressed. Commissioners, I apologize for keeping you in the dark, but there was no other way to do that. This thing happened pretty quickly right here in the last few days. But I'm glad that it did. And I'm glad that we're going to have a bond issue that I think will address or begin to address the needs of Montgomery County. Will it take care of everything? No, certainly not. I think we need to look at other bond issues in the future, but this is the beginning to start to address our needs. So with that, there are no other comments. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Motion carries. Now, there are two other resolutions here on this agenda to be discussed, and commissioners, you can read through them all, and I won't go into great detail on them. But on the first one, it's basically to ensure that we continue to increase the road and bridge fund. And I think that we made a good first step of that in this budget, adding $1 million to each of the commissioners' budgets this year, adjusting our road and bridge tax rate, continuing to hold that same relative percentage to the total tax rate, which I want to see us hold steady or lower if at all possible, certainly to hold steady in the future. Keep a percentage of that tax rate to 10.19% of the total rate, which is what it is today. And to cover the cost of how refurbishing will be handled for ongoing refurbishing projects. To commit to try to get to 80% of all of the roads that we do, all the dollars we're spending on bond money, to be for mobility issues. Questions or comments?
Yeah, I'm opposed to that. I don't disagree, but I understand these resolutions are not enforceable anyway, but anyway, I'm opposed.
It's an effort on the part of this court to commit to trying to do these things, which I think are good, sound financial principles. Very, very simple. Any other questions or comments, Commissioner? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Second resolution is to, well, I'll just read parts of this one so that we have a better idea. Whereas Montgomery County has a growing number of pressing mobility projects that are going to require the county to issue bonds to fund. And whereas the Montgomery County Commissioners Court has approved the $280 million bond to be on the November 2015 ballot for voter approval, and whereas given the level of mobility infrastructure required by Montgomery County, it is anticipated that the Commissioners Court will likely propose a 2018 bond issue for at least $70 million, and if possible, more if supported by, if supportable based on growth in the future. And whereas the Commissioners Court has approved a resolution establishing a policy to accelerate the funding of the county's road and bridge funds to enable the funds to be primarily a source of funds used to pay for county road repair, maintenance, and refurbishing. Therefore, be it resolved that in the event that the Commissioners Court authorizes an additional bond in 2018, such a bond shall be structured in such a way that at least 85% of the proceeds from the bond allocated to each precinct will be used for projects which increase traffic flow through new roads, road widenings, intersection improvements, bridges, elevated roadways, or safety enhancements, such as adding a shoulder lane sufficiently wide and strong enough to accommodate emergency vehicles. And B, for bonds issued after 2018, the minimum allocations of road bond proceeds to increase traffic flow throughout new roads and road widenings, intersections, improvements, bridges, elevated roadways, or safety enhancements such as adding shoulders, lane sufficiency wide and strong enough to accommodate emergency vehicles be at 85% with a target of 90%. Which means we'd spend most of that money on new road projects.
No.
Second. Questions or comments?
Yeah, I think this one's unenforceable anyway. I don't think we can dictate it to a future court, which we may not even be part of how they can spend their bond money, so I'm opposed.
Okay. Other questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. All right.
Turn your phone off next time. Just kidding.
Any other questions, comments, or things, anything you need to add before we leave for today?
No, again, great day, I think.
All right. With that, court is adjourned.
I know we did. Oh, it worked. Well, they knew where I was. Thank you, Charlie. Everyone did good work.
Glad to see this out there.
Okay, Judge Doyal, tell me about this, Bob. What did it take to get to this point, and what's it look like now?
Well, I think now that we've got a bond issue that most can agree on, we can go out there and move forward with the project list. It's basically the same list we started with, short of Woodlands Parkway, and go get some road mobility projects completed and get traffic moving in Montgomery County.
Right now, what's it looking for this traffic and the growth that we've got?
Well, you pick a road and drive, anywhere you go in Montgomery County, there's congestion. If you've tried to get up and down Rayford Road, you understand that. If you've tried to get up and down 1097, it's incredible. 242, 1774, all the roads everywhere are congested, and we've got to start addressing those mobility needs today.
What about some of these lateral roads taking from point A to point B, and so just one road kept across the county and nothing on either side of it? Probably one of the examples, 242, something happens on 242, everything's shut down from east to west, basically.
Right, well, if we can create additional lane capacity on those projects, we can at least keep some lanes open in the event of a major accident or occurrence. We still need to look at a major thoroughfare plan, ultimately, that will address all mobility needs going into the future. But you can drive today and identify a list of projects that we couldn't pass a bond issue big enough to accommodate anyway. So this is a start. This is a beginning to start to address some of those needs.
You think Grand Parkway will help a little bit in alleviating some of that 242 traffic?
Absolutely. Grand Parkway will be a game changer. It's one piece of the puzzle that will help, but we still need to, even beyond Grand Parkway, you're going to have mobility needs as Montgomery County continues to grow to the north and to the west, certainly to the east along the 59 corridor. Still going to be issues to be addressed.
What about the 249 project, the planned toll road? How is Montgomery County looking toward that, and how's that going to help?
Yeah, 249 will really open up that whole southwest part of Montgomery County, because you've got about 12,000 acres out there under contract with different developers that are growing, with no way to get back to the Houston area or to the Grand Parkway, no way to get over to College Station very easily. That project will open that corridor up to create huge development through that area. And we look forward to working with TxDOT on that project in particular.
If you don't mind, okay, you bet. Just let us know. Thank you.
Thank you.
First of all, sir, your name?
Bill O'Sullivan.
And who are you with, sir?
Texas Patriots PAC.
Tell me about what you think about this bond and how this bond came about. I mean, from opposition to what it is today.
Well, as I said in my prepared remarks, that we received a phone call probably about 12 days ago, and the commissioners wanted to explore to see if it was a possibility to put a bond together based on common ground. There was a lot of talking. Initially, it was with Mark Davenport, who was representing Charlie Riley. And over a period of numerous discussions, I decided that they were serious about this, and I brought it to Julie Turner and John Bauman at the PAC. We then had a meeting with Mark on Saturday, the 12th, I believe that was. And at the meeting, we worked out the general terms. John put together what became known as the Memorandum of Understanding, and we agreed that there were going to be resolutions off the memorandum. We then finalized all of that. We sent that information out to other opponents of the last bond to try and recruit them to support it. At the end of the day, we had a meeting with Craig and Charlie, and we finalized the bond. And on Friday, finally, after the last aspects were put together, we signed it. Then it had to go to the people, and that's where it is now. I came up here to support it. I pledged through my honor that I would work as hard for this as I was working against the last bond. And hopefully the people will look at this, they will read it, they will understand what has happened. We think this is unique in all the counties in the state of Texas because we've dedicated ourselves to funding the Road and Bridge Fund to an extent that will fully fund all the maintenance. And the only debt that we'll go into in the future will be for more mobility, more roads, wider roads, so that we don't have the traffic problems that we've had in the past.
Appreciate it. Judge, if this bond passes, how will this affect taxes?
Well, based on all future growth projections, we should be able to see a significant revenue increase to offset the debt service for these bonds without a tax rate increase. Even in the negotiations and talking with the PAC, their thought was even if it does drive a tax increase, then it's something that's needed today. But I honestly feel that it will not drive a tax increase, but just based on all the projected growth that's coming to us.